Welcome back to another video. I'm just going to do a quick run through of all my kit today. I'm just going to go through the kit that I use day to day on shoots, depending on whether they're in a studio or up in the fells or somewhere in between really. I'm going to go through the bags that I use to carry my kit in first, and then I'm just going to go into detail on each bit of kit and explain why I have that piece of kit and when I would use it as well. Yeah, so the first one I use is Lowepro 450 camera bag. Picked this up online a little while ago. Really good camera bag. This is a bag I will take up onto the fells, and it's served me pretty well so far. I've had it for probably about a year now, and never had any issues with it. Nothing's broken on it yet, which is quite impressive considering I'm usually not the most gentle when it comes to lugging stuff around on the fells. But yeah, so good bag so far. So secondly, this is the newer something or other camera bag. I don't actually know the name of it. I'll put it up on the screen if I remember it. Yeah, so I bought this bag basically to carry all my stuff around as a wanna, and I used to take this up onto the fells, but because of the sheer size of it, it's just a real nightmare to lug around, and it's no sort of like, there's not a great deal of like back support or anything like that, so I wouldn't recommend taking this up onto the fells. This is more of like a studio bag, hence why, if you look, it's got wheels on it. And it's also got this cool little handle as well. So when you take it away somewhere, if you were say going to the airport, or you were maybe like I said in a studio or in like some sort of wide open space, it's quite handy just to have the wheels just to wheel it along. And I've used this, to be fair as well, in quite rugged conditions, probably not where it's supposed to be used, and the wheels have lasted pretty good as well. So and yeah, the actual bag itself is still in pretty good nick. You can see it's quite a deep bag as well, so you fit quite a lot of stuff in it. I'll only use this when I'm working out of the car, or if I'm working in a space, you know, sort of nearby. I won't take this up anywhere high or somewhere where I'm gonna have to carry it for long periods of time, as it's just too heavy and too awkward. But it's good as a general sort of like just carry everything bag, and yeah, it's pretty easy to wheel around if you've got a sort of a flat surface. So yeah, it's definitely worth looking at one of these or maybe something similar. Yeah, so firstly I've got one of these Peak Design camera straps. I had one of the original one that came with the camera, and after about, you know, a couple of times using it, it was just a real pain, so I ended up buying one of these Peak Design ones. I don't use camera straps a lot, I'll be honest, just because of what I do, but if you are, you know, carrying the camera out for long days, one of these is pretty handy. So what it does is, so basically this attaches to the camera via these little metal clip things here, so into there, and then lock like that. Yeah, so really handy, really sturdy. Like, I mean, there's no way, you can see, even if I pull down, it's not going to come out. The only way they come out is by pushing down and then bring it back out, so there's no way that's going to come loose when it's, you know, when you've got it hanging about, or if you're, you know, if you're moving about a lot, or if it's getting pulled and stuff like that, it's not going to come loose. Yeah, these are reasonably priced as well. I mean, they're probably, you know, they might seem a bit expensive, but for what it's worth, it's like, you know, a really good bit of kit, and it's really well made as well. So that's a Peak Design camera strap, so I'll leave a link to that below. What I'll do is I'll leave a list of all my kit that I feature in this video down below, and a link to where you can get it from as well. So moving on, got this handy little DJI hard case. So this is basically just extra little bits for the DJI Ronin S that I'll show you in a bit. Just little screwdrivers, spare bolts, because they go missing. Focus here. These go missing like all the time, so it's handy to have one of those in there, and then just cables as well. So just a handy little case to have. You know, quite a nice design as well. DJI tend to do a good job of stuff like this. So yeah, cool little thing. So this is a Bag Smart. I've never actually looked into this because I was given this as a gift. Basically, it's just what I keep all my batteries in, any extra little bits, cables, that sort of thing. So it's really handy, and it seems to fit really well with the batteries that I have, so it's almost ideal. And also I've had this quite a long time, and as you can see, there's not any sort of marks or scuffs. It's in fairly good condition as well. So open this up. So open it up. So in here I've got spare torch, just in case when I'm out on fells. In here is basically my little SD card pouch, so all my SD cards are in there. Pretty handy just to have them all in one space, because obviously they are quite easy to lose. Just quickly, whilst I'm on the subject of SD cards, I mainly use micro SD cards just because when I got my new camera, in order to film 4K I had to get SD cards with a certain write speed, and they were really expensive at the time, so in the end I ended up buying some micro SD cards and then getting these little micro adapter things that basically just turn it into an SD card. So just a little tip, if you are a bit reluctant to spend, you know, like £100 on an SD card, maybe consider looking at some micro SD cards and then just buying little adapters from them as well, because you might save yourself some money. So yes, that's SD card reader. On the other side, basically got all my camera batteries here. These are the batteries for my external monitor that I use on my gimbal. And then in this top bit here, I've got a regular pair of headphones with a regular aux adapter. I've also got an Apple pair of headphones with the Apple adapter, just in case. Also in this little bit, I've got like a multi-tool thing, which is just handy to have. You know, screws and that on camera is quite easy just to tighten and untighten things. So it's quite a handy little tool to have. Yeah, and then finally in this little bit is the Rode microphone lav mic. So this basically plugs into your phone. We've got one of those silly little Apple adapter things that you have to have. There you go. So that's the microphone there. Basically attach that to someone or anything really if you want to get some really good audio. Sounds really good. I think it was only like 30 or 40 quid, considering how cheap it is and the quality of sound you can get from it. It's just so easy because you can just attach it to anything. Like I've used it for like mountain biking videos before. I've basically just attached it to the bike, got the rider to go all the way down the trail, and then I've got like 2 or 3 minutes worth of audio to play with, and it's all really good quality as well. I don't have to like try and chase after him with a microphone. I can just stick this on, and then I get natural sounds of him riding the bike, you know, the chain, that sort of thing. So these are really cool. Definitely worth getting one of these. Yes, there's a lot of useful stuff in there, but in the grand scheme of things, it's a relatively small sort of compartment to have in a camera bag. Yeah, so this is ideal for me really in terms of working with such a small kit, you know. I've got loads of handy stuff in here, and it's all like compact quite down to a small size as well. So yeah, it's really handy to have that, and it's nice to know everything's just in one place rather than just like loosely around in my camera bag. At least it's in, you know, one compartment that I can find everything really easily. So look at getting something like this, a Bag Smart, or getting something similar. I'm sure there is other alternatives out there as well. First lens, so this is the Sony 70-200. It's the f4 version because I can't afford the f2.8 version because it's stupidly expensive. Really nice lens. I don't use it all that much for filmmaking just because I never really have to go past 70 or sort of up to 200 with filmmaking. So I mainly use this for photographs, up in Scotland, taking photographs of wildlife and just generally close-ups of mountains, that sort of thing really. But it's a really beautiful lens, really well made. So yeah, really cool lens. Quite expensive, but definitely worth it. And if, you know, 70-200 is a good range for portraits, yeah, like I said, getting relatively close up to wildlife stuff as well. It's not obviously like having a 150-600, but you know, it's still pretty good. So lens filters. These are not for the 70-200, these are actually for the lens that I'm using at the moment, which is the 24-105 f4. So these lens filters fit this 24-105, which has a diameter of 77mm. And I bought them specifically for this one because all my filmmaking stuff will be done on this lens, so it just wasn't, you know, I don't use the 70-200 enough to have lens filters for it really, and even when I do, I don't relatively need them. So so these are the Gobe lens filters. I use Gobe because, you know, it's a really good company. They have a good sort of ethical views as well. I think most of the products you buy from them, they'll send you like a little token you can plant trees. Obviously, being conscious of the environment, I'd like to support companies like that as much as possible. So I usually go for Gobe, and also their products are really good as well, really high quality, and you know, the packaging is quite nice as well. You know, they come in these handy little tin cases, which are quite smart, and they fit in your bag quite well as well. So without going on too much, this I've only recently just got. So this is polarizer. So I haven't actually used this polarizer yet, but I'll just explain quickly what it does. Basically, it just reduces reflections in any sort of like glass or water. So when you're doing sort of car photography or landscapes of water, just reduces the reflection, gives less of a glare. Overall makes the photo look a lot better, a lot cleaner. That's probably a really bad description of what a polarizer does. So yeah, so that's polarizer. and this is the ND filter as well. So this is the 2 to 32 ND filter. Really useful bit of kit. Obviously if you're shooting in really bright conditions, you know, you can use this. But basically, yeah, when you're on the go, when you're running gun filming, you can just gradually turn this down, just to sort of counteract the brightness. And that way you don't get the same jumpy effect as if you were going to change your ISO or to change your f-stop. So really handy to have. Quite pricey, but definitely 100% worth it, especially if you're doing filmmaking. You pretty much can't, you know, shoot without one of these some days. You know, on a bright day, you want to be leaving your shutter speed at 1/50th, and if you're wanting to shoot on a low f-stop as well, to get that nice depth of field, then you're going to need one of these, so definitely worth investing in one. And like I said, check out Gobe ones. There is other alternatives as well, but for the sake of paying a little bit of extra, you know, you're buying off a really good company, and the quality of products is much better as well, so they're pretty handy. Yeah, so moving on, just some base plates. So this is for the Ronin M and this is for the Ronin S. Base plates for both the gimbals. Yeah, so these are part of the handles for the Ronin M. These two components make up the stand for the Ronin M, so you can stand it up. So these basically allow you to balance a gimbal without having to hold it. Yeah, so this is the actual gimbal itself. So gimbal goes like that, camera sits on here. I'll probably show you a little demonstration of how it all goes together and what I'd use it as a setup. So these are the motors here, which stabilize the gimbal and keep the camera, you know, steady and, you know, nice smooth shots. And then finally for the Ronin M, these are basically three more of the handles. So this sits on top and then these sit either side. You'll see in the video how that works, and you know how you can hold it in different positions to get the shots you want. And then these are the batteries that come with the Ronin M. I've only got two at the moment because one of them broke, and they are quite expensive as well. I think you're probably talking like 50-80 quid for one of these, but they do last a really long time. Probably last like 3 or 4 hours, so probably worth having 2 if not 3 of these, as if you are shooting on a long day you'll need them. Moving on to the other gimbal, this is the stand as well as a handle for the Ronin S, and this is the battery grip for the Ronin S. Yeah, so you see in the video how these go together and then sit on top of the other component, which is the gimbal itself, which stabilizes the camera. Yeah, so this is the gimbal itself. If you would like a bit more of an in-depth review of both the gimbals, just let me know down in the comments. Be happy to go through in a bit more detail, maybe explain some of the features and the functions, where's the best place to buy them, that sort of thing. So just let me know if you want to see that. Just one more thing on the Ronin M. So this is basically attaches to the Ronin M, and then my external monitor can sit on here. So you'll see in the video with the Ronin M gimbal and then the monitor sat on top. This basically connects the two together, and obviously just allows me to see a bigger screen of what I'm recording when I'm out about filming with the Ronin M. So Gorilla Pod, really handy to use, great for traveling. I don't carry this out with me when I go onto the fells, but you know, if I'm going away on a trip, or you know, I know I'm going to be doing a lot of like just handheld travel stuff, then I'll take this with me just in case. Yeah, so first microphone, this is the Rode Video Mic Pro, I think. This is the one that takes an external battery, so this is not the one that plugs straight into the camera. I do have one of those as well. I don't know if I would recommend getting one of these. This is just handy to have as a spare. If you were looking for a starter microphone, I would recommend getting the smaller one. Let me just go and get it. Give me a sec. So this is the Rode Video Mic Go. It is the Video Mic Go, I was right. Obviously it's a little bit smaller than this one, only just really, it's just slightly less tall, but like I said, this one just plugs straight into the camera through the 3.5 aux or whatever it is, and then just runs off the camera, and it's just really handy to have. Great for run and gun stuff. I wouldn't use it for a sit down interview or, you know, a talking piece to camera like this, but for general sort of run and gun, just grabbing a bit of audio of just general Atmos, that sort of thing, it's handy to have, and it's far better than the camera audio. So yeah, these are only like 50-60 quid, so definitely recommend getting one of these. Yeah, so just a little bit of kit I forgot to mention. This is an aperture LED light, so this basically just works as a bit of fill light. It's got a diffuser on it, so you can take that off, and then you can also add these little film things. They're really cheap and plasticky, but this is the cheaper version. There is actually a new version of this now, where you don't have these plasticky film lights and the actual LEDs themselves change, but you can see that just goes to a blue light, and then there is also a warmer colour film as well. This is just handy to have. Again, it's only cheap. It doesn't take up much space in my camera bag. I wouldn't use this as a main light to light a subject in an interview, but you could use it as a backlight from behind, or if you were running gun again, if you're just following someone. I've used this before where I've been filming with the camera in one hand and just had this light up here in the other hand just to give me a bit of extra light. But again, a handy little thing to have. I mean, you could even have like 3 or 4 of these. It's just really handy to have, so definitely recommend getting one of these. Like I said, that they do have an updated version of now, which is a bit more expensive, but probably a lot better in terms of what it can do and battery life and stuff like that as well. But these are still pretty good. Drone wise, I've upgraded. I don't know if in my last video I had this, but yeah, so I've upgraded now to the Mavic 2 Pro. I'm not going to go into too much detail about this because I've already got a video on this, basically running through everything. But as far as drones go, this is pretty much one of the best, if not the best, sort of small, relatively affordable drone. I think from a commercial point of view, you know, what you spend on one of these drones is really cheap compared to some of the other drones out there, but I think for a hobbyist it probably is really expensive. Probably looking something more like a Mavic Air or the first Mavic Pro, which you can probably pick up now second hand for like 500-600 quid. So it's the Fly More kit. So it comes in this handy little bag. Yes, in this front pouch here, just got spare propellers and one of the ND fillers. So this is the Polar Pro ND4 polarizer. Just got this, haven't used it yet. Yeah, again, obviously explain polarizers, really handy to have, so I'm looking forward to giving that a go. Really sturdy zips on this camera bag as well. Drone controller, 2 spare batteries, and then the drone itself in there. And then in the top as well, I've got my ND4 to ND16 neutral density filters as well. So definitely handy to have. Obviously, Polar Pro, like probably one of the top sort of filter companies out there. They are expensive, but there's a reason why they're expensive, and they are really good quality. So you just have to bite the bullet and just make that initial investment. And then when you get these tiny pieces of glass through the front door, and you're like, oh, I can't believe I spent 8 quid on that. But yeah, the results are definitely worth it. Yeah, so I think that's pretty much it in terms of kit wise. I've gone through generally most stuff I use day to day. Obviously the only thing that I haven't gone through in this video is the camera itself and the lens. So I'm using the f4 24-105 Sony lens. I only had this about a month or so. I swapped it out for the 24-70. The camera itself is a Sony a7R II, so I've had this camera now for probably over a year, nearly 2 years now, and I am hoping to buy a new body soon, so I am hoping to get the A7S II. So I'm just waiting for a cheaper one to come up second hand at the moment, and then I'll probably purchase one of those, and then I'll have 2 really good camera bodies, and I won't just be relying on one, because it is quite nerve-wracking sometimes when I think that the camera could just, you know, at any time turn off. Not that it's done it before, but you know, I have had incidents where I've got water in this camera and the viewfinder's fogged up and the LCD screen has just stopped working, and I've basically been shooting stuff just hoping that I'm getting the shot, which isn't ideal. I mean, it's sorted itself out now, but at the time it wasn't ideal, so it'd be nice to have 2 camera bodies in the future, and then I've got a bit of a safety net there as well. The actual microphone that I'm using to film this video with is the Sony XLR KR2 Sony XLR. Yeah, so it's a Sony XLR K2M. Really good microphone, quite expensive, so it's quite a high-end sort of run and gun microphone. I mean, you're probably talking like 300-400 quid for one, which is way more expensive than one of the Rode microphones. So if you are just starting out, again, I would recommend getting just the Video Mic Pro for 50-60 quid. It's definitely worth it. This microphone in particular, you are paying like a premium price, but like I said, I can use this for run and gun stuff. I can use this for interviews. I can use this for sitting down talking, stuff like this, and the quality is just amazing. So you know, long term, if you are doing a lot of run and gun stuff and you don't want to be carrying around loads of sound kit, if you just need one small device, definitely recommend getting this. You know, long term, it's definitely worth it. I mean, I use mine for every single YouTube video that I do, and that's it. I don't use any other sort of form of microphone, so definitely worth getting one of those. And it's really handy as well because it's got 2 XLR ports. So say if you were filming an interview and you wanted to have a microphone closer to the subject, you could then run an XLR cable off that into the microphone on top of the camera, and it would record straight onto the video footage. So then when you bring it back in post-production, you don't have to be syncing audio up to clips. It's all there just on the left and the right audio. in Premiere Pro, and then you can just crack on with editing straight away. You don't have to be fiddling around with that. So again, that's another really handy feature as well. Yeah, so I know how I was going to explain in this video how I organise my kit in each of my bags and what I would take up onto different shoots, but I think because this video is probably already so long, I'll just leave that for a separate video. So what I'll do in another video is I'll explain what kit I take on each shoot and why that is, and in terms of like weight, usability, and just generally how easy it is to take that kit around. So I'll leave that for another video. Obviously with lockdown at the moment, I've got loads of time to make other videos, so I think it's best if we leave that for now. If you have any questions about any of the kit that I've explained in this video, just leave a comment down below and I'll get back to you as soon as possible. Cheers for watching, and I'll see you next one.